Today's our final day with the prophet Zechariah, and our verse for the day is chapter 14, verse 9. And the Lord will become king over all the earth. On that day the Lord will be one, and his name one. This idea of the Lord being king over all the earth and exalting God as king is a theme we've seen throughout the Bible. You may recall, for example, back in Psalm 99, which is a psalm that begins, "The Lord is king, let the peoples tremble. He sits enthroned upon the cherubim, let the earth quake. The Lord is great in Zion." And it goes on in verse 4 to say, "Mighty King, lover of justice, you have established equity, you have executed justice and righteousness in Jacob." And when I think of the Lord being king and over all the earth, we are now just 8 days away from Palm Sunday, when Jesus comes humble and on a colt into Jerusalem, offering himself as a very different kind of king, a king who comes not with arms or with an army or with violence, but a king waging peace, as one who comes not to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. And yet we also know that this humble king will one day reign in great power. And some of us can hear the words of Handel's Messiah. You may remember the passage in Revelation where we hear this great song and chorus in heaven in Revelation chapter 11 about praising God who will now reign as king. You know, living in a democracy, we don't have kings and queens or princes and princesses, but there is a sense in which we are subjects of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. And what is expected of a subject in a kingdom? Well, we are to give our loyalty, our service, our obedience to the king. And that is still true whether we live in a democracy or a republic or whether you live in a kingdom. And I hope as we get closer to the beginning of Holy Week, that in these days and the final week we have coming up in the Hebrew Bible, that we can start to turn our attention and focus more and more to Jesus, the humble servant king, who comes and gives his life as a ransom for many. A king like that, a king of love and peace and justice, a king whose life is marked by kindness and courage and faith, is well worth your and my full devotion.